Morning, welcome. Second Rosh Hashana, Daf Hey, Daf number 5. Shmuel went with William Shatner to space yesterday on Blue Origin. He had a great time. He was regaling with William Shatner all his Star Trek memories when he was growing up. He used to watch the Star Trek trilogy. He even requested from William Shatner that if they do make any more Star Trek movies, that he should be part of it. Instead of calling him Captain Kirk, call him Captain Shmuel. I'm joking. This is not true. Shmuel has to go to Yerushalayim today, so I'm left by myself. I'll have to clap and dance and sing and shout out loud by myself. It's much harder to get enthusiasm when there's no one watching you, just a little video camera, your phone. I need some people to talk to. I need some friends. So if you want to be my friend, come tell someone 11 o'clock every morning. Daf Yomi share. Come sit here and as Nashim be part of the audience. Maybe even be Zocha to be like Shmuel, sit next to me, get your face on camera, and make any comment you want during the entire duration of the shir. Okay. Mara says on the third line of Hamid Aleph, Tana Kama Rav Shimon ben Elazar, Tashlum Latzaris Manila. The Gemara said, brought a proof, according to some Tanoim, from the fact that it's a Chaga Matzos, Chaga Shavuos, Chaga Sukkos, the second time, tell you that Shavuos has Tashlumin for the Karbanos that you're supposed to bring on Shavuos. You can bring them 7 days, within 7 days, 6 days after. So where does the Tanakh Shimon, where do they learn that halacha from? Some of they agree with it. Nafkalum and the Tani Rabbi Bashmuel, the Tani Rabbi Bashmuel, Amra Torah Mana Yamim v'Kadesh Chodesh, Mana Yamim v'Kadesh Atzeres. There's a pasuk when it comes to counting the Chodesh, 30 days of the Chodesh, in order to make a new moon, Makadesh the Chodesh, that should be a new month. It says in Devarim at Chodesh Yamim. So the Gemara derives a Chodesh Yamim that you count days to calculate a Chodesh. You don't count hours to calculate a Chodesh. That's why there's no, even though really the new moon is about 29 and a half days, it's either 29 or 30 days. It has to be whole days. It's not hours make the Chodesh. You can't be Makadesh the Chodesh in the middle of the day. So the Gemara learns that from that, just like we say over there at Chodesh Yamim, Mana Yam Kadesh Chodesh, Mana Yam Kadesh Atzeres. We know also when it comes to counting to Shavuos, the Spheres of Omer, you count. Oh, here's Shmuel. Shmuel, did you hear what I said about you? I heard that you went with William Shatner to the moon yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Remember? Do you know who William Shatner is?
William Shatner? I know who he is.
I said that you had such a great time with him. You were regaling stories of Star Trek, and he agreed that in the next Star Wars movie that's coming out, that you'll be the new captain.
Oh.
Not more Captain Kirk. There's Captain
really?
Captain Shmuel.
Why? Because I'm a space cadet? No,
Yeah.
seriously.
That's
I don't
wouldn't
think
you
so.
love that,
They would
Shmuel?
probably make me some sort of like whatever the guy. Remember that? What was his name? That weird looking. Those weird looking aliens.
Leonard
right?
Nimoy. What is his name?
Oh, Leonard. Remember Leonard?
Captain
Mr.
Spock. Mr. Spock. I'm not such a big maven in
Call them Trekkies, by the way.
Star Trek. He said William Shatner was 90 years old. He's the
90
oldest
years old,
person to
my
ever go
God.
to space. He
My
said
God.
he felt like
They should have left
he
it there.
felt like he died when he went from the blue sky into black space. He was there for 3 minutes, then he experienced 6G on his way down.
He's Jewish.
He is Jewish, yeah. Alright, at least you got a little bit of Shmuel for today. So where it says Mana Yamim Kadesh Atzeres, also you count days and you have the Sphira in order to lead up to Shavuos. Ma Chodesh Amanui. Av Atzeres Amanui, just like Chodesh goes by the way it's normally counted. The way it's normally counted by days, so to Atzeres goes by the way it's normally counted. And that is by Shavuos. It's called. We'll see in a second. It's called. You count by weeks. Count by days and count by weeks. The Gemara says, "Em Atzeres Chad Yoma." So you say by Atzeres, it should be 1 day, just like the fact that you count 49 separate days. So the unit that you use to measure months is a day, and also the unit you use to measure to count the atzeres is 49 days. So the Gemara says, "Atu atzera mashmarava, atu atzeres Yomi manina and shvuila manina. Amar mitzvah limnina yom, mitzvah limnina shvua." When you count Sriyas Omer, you say, "Ayom yom shmona shehem shavua echad yom echad ba'omer." So you mention the shvuos, the weeks, and you measure the days. So therefore, we should hold one of the units of counting Sfira to up to Shavuos is weeks, and also of Od Chag Shavuos. Also, it says Chag Shavuos weeks. I want to give two Ian of the Mitzvahs today. The first one I just thought about right now, it just came to me to make up for the loss of Shmuel. First Ian of the Mitzvahs, dun 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 dun. Why does the Mishnah have Od Chag Shavuos? Because if from the first proof of Rav, there's a unit of days and a unit of weeks. So therefore, I'm a suffix. Do I give Tashlum in one day for Shavuos? Only that day of Shavuos you can bring the karbanos. Or to give 7 days. So the Ode, a secondary proof that you go by the unit that you count by is the weeks, because it's called Chag Shavuos. There's two reasons to say Shavuos. Only one reason to say days. That's the conclusion of Ian with Menzi. The Pesach bar mikra bergalm. The Gemara goes back to this brayso where it's talked about the Balta Acher applies to Karan Pesach also. Is a Pesach bar mikra bergalm? Pesach zimna kviyali. Yakrave lo akrave itchile. Pesach is only born on Yudal and Nisan. If you mark this shit as a Karan Pesach, and you are lax and you don't bring it as a Karan Pesach, and you leave it over, it's nidchas. So it's not shayach balta acher. Now exactly, this is the second second of the mention over here. The way Tosfos explains, he says very clearly over here. It says very miyad over a love. The question of the Gemara is, normally balta acher applies as a 3 regal. If you don't be makriv the animal that you're makriv is a Karan Pesach on Yudal and Nisan, you're over right away. It's a big chiddush. The Gemara doesn't say over miyad. The Gemara says idchile. It's nidchus. The korban is puzzled to bring. It doesn't say you're over on it. I want to bring a proof on Amud Beis that the Inuit Ben Sin's pshat is that idchile means if the korban becomes a puzzle korban, it's not shayach balta acher. Balta acher is only shayach on a korban that is omid likariv. If it's not omid likariv, if it's not able to be brought, so then it's nidchis, like the Lashon Gemara. It's nidchis. It's not shayach balta acher. It's not shayach balta acher. You're not going to be over on balta acher. You can't bring it as a korban anymore. It's not over balta acher. Balta acher is only a korban that's a roy to bring, and you delay bringing it. Amar Rav Chisda Pesach. Also, this is against the article. The article clearly states that you're over miyad, as they take on Tosfos' pshat, and Rashi seems to be saying this also on Amud Beis. Amar Rav Chisda Pesach K'dei Naspa. Rav Chisda answers. It says Bechor, Pesach, or Meiser. Normally, those 3 korbanos are grouped together. K'dei Naspa, since it was mentioning Bechor and Meiser, so it just added Korban Pesach. Now, if you learn, the pshat is K'dei Naspa means just took it along with it and mentioned it, even though it doesn't apply to it. K'dei Naspa, it's much harder to say. It means really balta acher does apply. If balta acher applies to Korban Pesach, that you're over miyad, and the Bechor and Meiser you're over 3 regalim. It's not exactly K'dei Naspa. It's just different periods. There's a high lechud dekai, a high lechud dekai. This one has its own high zmane b'lechud, high zmane lechud. Not K'dei Naspa. Naspa means it just drags along, even though it's not shayach at all. Rav Sheshes Amar my Pesach, Shalmi Pesach. He gives a different answer. Korban Pesach is not referring to the Korban Pesach. It's referring to the shlamim that you bring as a Pesach. What does this mean exactly? So we'll go with Rashi over here. Your makriv animal is a Korban Pesach, gets lost, and then you find the Korban Pesach before the time. So, or you're makriv the new korban, and then you find the korban Pesach afterwards, so it becomes a shlamim. Rashi says b'shlo korban b'zmano she'avav and iskaper ba'acheru. Now as a shlamim, this korban Pesach turns into a korban shlamim because it wasn't nidchis, because it was lost. You couldn't be makriv, you didn't know where it was. So you're makriv a different animal instead. So this animal that was supposed to be korban Pesach turns into a shlamim, and that has 3 regalim. The Gemara says yihach hanu shlamim. It already mentioned Shlom in the Brisa. Tana Shlom Haboy Machmas Pesach, Tana Shlom Haboy Machmas Atzma. No, there's a reason to say two types of Shlomim that come because on account of the Karm Pesach, and Shlomim that nothing to do with the Karm Pesach. What's the Chiddush? Sakada Dechamina Hovul Machmas Pesach Ka'asu. Since the Shlomim that when the Karm Pesach look Pesach Dam, which should be like Karm Pesach. Rashi says Uveregel Rishon Yavar Alay, like Toso says that you should be over right away. Kamashma, we don't say the Shlomim Bamim Machmas Pesach you're over right away. Rather, you're over after 3 regalim. Menani Mili, where do we know all these cases that we mentioned before? On the Dalid, Balta Achar applies to them. Hanarabanan, Sidor Neder. This is talking about Balta Achar. When you pledge a Neder, Ein Liela Neder. A Neder is a korban which you say Harezu Allah. You take a Achrayis, you're going to makar a korban in the Beis HaMikdash. Nedava Minai. Now in Dava is when you said Harezu, you're makdish an animal. You say this animal. If you lose this animal, you're not chayiv an Achrayuso. Neder Yechayev, you're responsible for it. Nemar Ka Neder, Nemar Lahalan, Im Neder on Nadava. Different pasuk says Neder Nadava. Malahala Nadava Imo, Afkan Nadava Imo. Here also it includes a Nadava. Lahashem Elokecha. Elu Hadamin. Damin is when you pledge the value that your worth as a slave. Harachin, the value of Erchin. It says in the Torah, Haramim, you pledge something to the Kohanim or to the Bedek Abayis. Fakdeshos, you're makdish something. Lo Sa'achir L'Shalmo. Who? Velo chilufa. The Gemara says the shalmo, who it, and not its replacement. We'll see. The Gemara tries to figure out what this means. There we see that Baal Techer applies to korban chatas, asham, olan, shalom Hashem lekecha elu stakos ma'isros b'chor mimcha zeleket shecha upeya v'ya b'chached v'lo b'korbanecha ched. Meaning, if you delay bringing a korban, it's a sin that you violated, but it doesn't affect the korban. The korban can still be brought after the zman is over. After a year passes, you can still bring the korban. What does that mean? If we're talking about an animal that replaced an olo shlam, let's say an olo shlam got a mum, and you replaced it with a different animal, mikra of karvi. They're actually brought as a korban. So if they're brought as a korban, so for sure, Rashi says, so for sure it's subject to Baal Ta'acher. Article says, sometimes you forget exactly Pshat in the Gemara. I remember that Pshat just to make sure. I looked in article. I don't want to make any mistakes, otherwise the media will be all over me for making a mistake. Amar says, so if we're talking about a chatas that got a mum lemisa, then you replace it with another animal. So it gets left to die. The chatas got a mum, and then or got lost, and you brought another animal in place of it. So chatas now goes lemisa asa, it's left to die, locked up in a field and let it die by itself. Elam ma'chiluf chilufei toda. We're talking about the replacement for a korban toda. Tani, a korban toda got lost, and you replace it with another one. You're makar of the replacement, and you're makar of the replacement. Tani Rabbi Chia b'toda shnis arvin b'tmurasa u'meisa achas mehen chaverta ein la takana. I told you like I'm mixed up with this tmura. Tmura does not necessarily mean that it was a tmura that you're makdish an animal in place of it. It just means either got a mum or it got lost, and now they're mixed up, the real toda and the replacement toda. And one of them dies. Now you don't know which one it is. It's the remaining korban. Is it a korban toda, the real toda, or is it the replacement? Chaverta ein la takana. You don't know what to do with this remaining animal. If you're makar the korban toda, and korban toda comes along with lechem, with 40 loaves of bread. Dilma tmurahi. Maybe it's the replacement, and the replacement doesn't get 40 loaves of bread. Likruv below lechem to offer as a korban toda without bread. Dilma todahi. Maybe it's a korban toda and needs bread. Vaha kevon delav basakravi kra lemute lamoli. Since you can't be makar of it, the korban toda, so why do you have to tell me hu v'lo chilufa? it's not a bar hakrava here. There's no way to be makar of it. You're stuck because of the 40 lechem. You don't know what to do. So therefore, we go back to what we said before. We're talking about an olav for shlamim. The replacement for olav shlamim. What's the case of replacement? You pledged an olav shlamim to the base hamikdash. 2 regalim passed. Now you have 1 regal left before you're over and about the acher. V'humam. It got a mum, the chil lo al acher, and he removed his kedusha onto another animal, and therefore the first one has become chulin, and it has a mum. V'avar alav regal echad, and the second animal, the new animal, the chilufav, passed another regal, the third regal, where you didn't makar it. Since it's coming on because of the power of the first animal, which you're over 2 regalim, you didn't bring it. So therefore you add 2 plus 1. Kamash Malan, we don't say that. It has to have 3. The new animal is treated by itself. It has 3 regalim itself for Balta Achal. The Remeir, the Amar came a regal Achal over Balta Achal. Remeir we saw before on Daf Daled, who says that Balta Achal is not 3 regalim, it's only 1 regal. What case could this Bryce be referring to? Amar Rav, Hachaman Skinon. It was got a mum during that first regal. The chillov over alav a regal. And the regal passed, you weren't makar of the replacement. It's like a continuation of the first korban. Kamash Malan. The Bryce continues. It should be a sin for you. And it shouldn't be a sin with your korban. Is it learned from this brisa? From a different brisa. The Sanya Acherim Omrim Yokol Yehi Bechor Shavrosh Nasak Tulim Gdoshin Be Postal. Bechor that you weren't makir within its first year. It's like Psulei Mukdashin. Psulei Mukdashin is animals got a mum, and you redeemed it, right? Be Postal. You can't bring it as a korban. Talmud Lomer V'Achal Tofnei Hashem Lokecha Maser Degan Chatiroshka V'Torecha Bechor is Bechor Kavasoncha Makish Bechor LaMeister. The pasuk compares, juxtaposes, fancy art scroll word, Bechor to a Meiser Sheni. Ma Meiser Eino Nifsal Mishano Chaver. Just a Meiser Sheni, even if you don't bring it on the 3rd or 6th year, you don't bring it to Yerushalayim, you could still bring it the 4th year, the 7th year, to Yerushalayim and eat it. Af Bechor Eino Nifsal Mishano Chaver. So called a Bechor, even though you're over about the Achar by not being makar in its first year, you're still it's still not a apostle korban. You can still be makar as a korban. Itzrach. So you see that price that teaches that. And where's the Itzrach? No, you need the first price. That's talking about this. Acher was talking about a called Bechor, because it's not meant for heart. It's not meant for appeasement. You did a sin, or to appease to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the sin that you did. About Kodshim, the Mehartzanin, but other Kodshim, like an Olo Shlamim, that they're meant for appeasement, or a Chatas or Asham, to mechaper on you, Aimalo Lirtzu. They shouldn't atone for you if you delayed more than 3 regalim. Kamash Malan. No, Vaya Bechachet, Velo Bekorban Chachet. With that, we'll conclude today's shir. Hope you enjoyed. 18 minutes, Chai, and have a good day.